Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know the people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. Yeah, we are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. Oh, that makes you know. He can't fucking breathe. Oh, that makes you know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Friday, you're tuned to the only podcast with a higher wiki feet rating than your mom's credit score. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got a trusty companion here with me to break down all these shit talking and shenanigans, the fight announcements, and the fuckery that has fallen down the MMA tree since we saw you wonderful folks last after the well-deserved break after UFC 300. So before we get into all the fun and fuckery, first off, how you doing over there, brother?
Pretty damn good for everything that we've been through this week. Glad we made it to the fucking end. Ready to have a pretty good fucking weekend, even though the fights aren't the greatest.
Not all the way
We
around,
always
but
know how to have fun around here, even with shit ones.
damn right. So, as it happens sometimes, life gets in the way. Golf T will not make it here this evening. I will cover his bits later on in the show. First and foremost, though, the way we like to kick things off around here, a little bit of news and recent events, fight confirmations, things like that we have seen come through the MMA funnel since we were with you folks last. First and foremost, the UFC has officially debuted an entirely redesigned new glove series. They're going to use a couple of different colors. They're going to use a special set for Contender Series, special set for Tough, special set for Championship fights, and then a blue and red set for the standards instead of the regular black gloves that they've been going with. They've got completely new designed interiors supposed to help prevent eye pokes, but at the same time give the same or better amount of flexibility and actual protection and coverage inside the glove. We'll see once they actually start using them, but it's a step in the right direction. It's more than they've done about it in years, so that's something. We will give them credit where credit is due here. It is something, so we'll see how much of a difference it actually makes once they actually make it to some fights. They've been quote unquote tested, but not in the real cage and real fights yet. That doesn't happen until I believe next month. June, I believe, is when they're going to start using those. One thing from UFC 300 last week that I did one or 2 weeks ago that I did want to give a quick little shout out to, in case everybody missed it, the incredible fight between Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva has officially been inducted into the fight wing for the UFC Hall of Fame. Well deserved. It was definitely an iconic fight in UFC history. Could have been completely different, could have changed the fate of both of those gentlemen, but we ended up with a hell of a fucking fight just the same. So I have no issue with that fight going in there. Good on both of those gentlemen. We got a couple of fight announcements here. We got a fairly decent little chunk of announcements, so I'll try and run through them here pretty quickly. The first one, he asked for it and he almost got it so goddamn close. Joaquin Buckley, after his incredible performance, said that he wanted to main event the UFC St. Louis card since he's from St. Louis. Makes sense. No, UFC decided they're going to keep Derek Lewis in that main event spot, but they are going to give Buckley the co-main event spot. Co-main eventing that St. Louis card May 11th will be Joaquin Buckley versus Nurzektan Ruzaboyev, I believe his name is. And if I understand correctly, Ruzaboyev is also a middleweight coming down to welterweight. Could be a very interesting matchup. I think it definitely should have gotten main event placement over Derek Lewis. Even Derek Lewis himself said that Derek don't want to fight rounds. So we'll see what becomes of that, but at least Buckley's getting in there and he's going to get co-main event rather. So he's going to get some shine and it'll help push ticket sales, even though they're not moving very well from what you can see online right now. That being said, UFC 302 going down June 1st in Newark will be the Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier title fight to main event. That got a very interesting a very interesting fight added to that card this week. I'm very happy, very excited to see how this plays out. Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira. I don't know when there have been two more highly touted prospects in the UFC thrown against each other like this. This is definitely a fight that the UFC, we say it all the time, should have saved for later down the road because these guys will see each other later down the road when they've got numbers next to each other's names. But UFC, for whatever reason, is going to throw these dudes at each other and they're going to put it on the pay-per-view. I don't care where it falls on the card. That fight's going to be a fucking banger, no doubt about it. So I'm here for it. I wish, like a lot of the times we see them throwing prospects like this, I wish they would have waited, but I'm here for it. It's going to be a great fucking fight. The following week, we've got confirmation June 8th is officially going to be UFC Louisville. They have announced most of that card, and it makes UFC St. Louis look like a shining pay-per-view card, and that is not a compliment. Um, it is a rough card to say the least. And we found out just yesterday the reason that June 8th is going to be UFC Louisville, and that is because the WWE has rented out the UFC Apex to put on an NXT event from the Apex on June 8th. Weird, but whatever. I suppose they're owned by the same company. I bet they give each other great deals when it comes to renting out the space to use. Take down the cage, put in a fucking ring. It'll fit for sure. I get it, I suppose, but weird. Um, Also, though, happening on June 8th, in my opinion, a much bigger and much cooler piece of news. At 1FC 167, Adrian Lee, the youngest brother of the Lee family, Christian and Angela and the late Victoria, will make his debut at 18 years old against Antonio Mamakelov, I believe is his name. Mamakeller, something like that. Um, Christian cannot speak higher of this fucking kid. And Christian holds the welterweight and the lightweight belt. Adrian is coming in at lightweight. Christian said that he is now thinking about relinquishing that belt so that he can focus on welterweight and then potentially middleweight after that and let his younger brother take over the land of 155, because that whole family has proven to break that stereotype that we like to talk about on the show. When it comes to siblings in combat sports, generally one of them gets all the talents and the others can, generally fare pretty well. Not in the fucking Lee family. All of them have been absolutely literal world class. Victoria was a fucking world champion. Angela was a two weight class world champion. Christian is a 2 weight class world champion. Adrian is just 18 years old making his debut. I have very little doubt in my mind that young man has championship potential in him. So very cool to see 1FC completely supporting that entire fucking Lee family, literally in every possible way they can. Very, very cool in my opinion. The next day, June 9th, over in Tokyo, we've got a very interesting matchup. The rerun of Sergio Pettis versus Kyoji Horiguchi taking place on Ryzen 47. Don't generally talk about a lot of Ryzen cards. This is going to be a fight you might need to tune into one for, though. That first fight was fucking crazy. This one, I have no doubt, is going to be equally as fucking crazy. So definitely cool to tune into that one. UFC 303 International Fight Week in Las Vegas. Excuse me. We now know officially will be headlined by Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler at 170 pounds to headline that card. Got a couple of interesting fights added to that card this week. The first one, Jillian Robertson versus Michelle Waterson Gomez. Potentially the karate hottie's last fight, especially if the throat cuddle dealer has anything to say about it. Potentially a very, very fun matchup there. The other one, very surprising that they were even allowed to make it, especially considering that they're going to Las Vegas. Jamal Hill turning around off of a knockout in the first round, getting knocked out, in the first round at UFC 300 just 2 weeks ago, already booked back at UFC 303 in June against Khalil Roundtree. I don't understand how he got medically cleared to fight within 6 months after a first round knockout like that, let alone why the UFC would put him against Khalil Roundtree. It's such a quick fucking turnaround, unless they're really trying to punish Jamal and trying to give Khalil the shine that he had, because Jamal, for all his credit and for, credit where credit's due, Jamal did take that fight on short notice, coming off of fucking major surgery that he should have rehabbed for longer than he did. But he also took that fight and then turned around once it was over and cried wolf. So there's only so much sympathy you can feel for a guy in that situation. We'll see how it turns out when he steps in there with Khalil Roundtree, but this could definitely be a hinge point in Jamal's story for sure. July 27th is officially now UFC 304 live from Manchester, England. For the first time in well over a decade, the UFC is actually going back to Manchester. There are all sorts of speculations about who's going to be on that card, but there are 0 confirmed fights as of right now. Just the location has been confirmed. So there's a couple we're pretty sure are going to be on there, but we'll wait to well any rumors until they get a little more valid, or excuse me, a little more validity to them. The other one they confirmed the location of, excuse me, October 26th will officially be UFC 308 live from Abu Dhabi, from the Etihad, or excuse me, the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi on Yas Island, where the UFC has been dozen fucking times at this point. Always good shows, always a good atmosphere in that arena. So we'll see how that plays out and how they build that card, especially knowing that they're going to be going there after they have been to, or shortly before they go, excuse me. No, it will be after the Saudi Arabia card. Yeah. So it will be going from Saudi Arabia to Abu Dhabi. So it'll be interesting to see how they stack that card and let it play out. A couple quick ones here, non-fight related. The first one, Triller, owner of BKFC and Misfit Boxing and all sorts of crazy shit, has officially been bought out in a quote unquote merger by the Chinese finance company that owned the 41% stake in the company. They have officially bought out the rest of it. They are now full owners of Triller and subsequently BKFC, with a public valuation of $4 billion, the same valuation that the UFC got when they sold to WME a couple years back. I have a very hard time believing that there is a credible accountant willing to put their name on a piece of paper that legally states that they believe that Triller is worth $4 billion right now. But Chinese finance company going to do what a Chinese finance company going to do? I'm just here talking about the news. I don't force it. We'll see how that plays out. If that sudden infusion of Chinese money can help that very desperately sinking fucking ship over there, I doubt it, but it'll be interesting to see what happens now that they have full ownership of that company. The other one, Cain Velasquez's trial officially has a start date in California. As of now, it is officially set for September 9th. Hopefully everything plays out good. They can see all the good he's been doing. They let him travel all over the place to do a bunch of coaching. Obviously, they know what he's doing. They've got him monitored. Hopefully this comes out as well as it can. Fingers fucking crossed for Cain's sake. The last one, it's not necessarily combat sports news, but it is relevant to something that we've been talking about quite a bit for the last 2 years, 2.5, maybe 3 years now. Toronto's Jonte Porter has officially been given a lifetime ban from the NBA for illegal sports gambling. He was involved both directly in betting and also in alleged information leaks to assist in gambling betting lines being altered. Also included in allegedly betting on games that he played in. So this is very much a alleged James Krause situation in the NBA, and the NBA didn't just suspend him while they're investigating this. They nipped it in the fucking bud, called it what it was. It'd be nice if the UFC had the balls to actually fucking do that, but we're still dancing around with everyone associated with James Krause being temporarily suspended from the UFC and suspended from
participating in any UFC events or affiliating themselves with anyone on the active UFC roster while not technically being suspended or banned from the sport. Anyway, that's what I've got for news here. You have anything over there I might have missed, brother? All right. Well, in that case, this would, in most words, blah, blah, blah. This would, in most podcasts, be the point where some stupid fucking B-roll comes through for some product that has nothing to do with the show that no one on the show actually uses, and that's not how we fucking roll here on the I'm No Joe podcast. If you like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, thank you. We like you as well. But if you want to help what we get up to around here, the easiest way to do that is patreon.com/I'm No Joe. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name on the end of every broadcast on this channel, as well as a great big thank you and unrestricted access to behind the scenes, unaired and unairable content, things that were literally too hot for OnlyFans. Patreon's got them. You get to see them for helping us do what we do around here. We appreciate it as well. You can give as much as you want. You can give as little as $1. There are options all the way across. You don't want to give money? No problem. Give us a thumbs up, share an episode with a friend. We do this for free just the same, and we appreciate you. That being said, if you're a fan of combat sports like some of us are, and you've been watching them for a long time, like some of us have, inadvertently, you start to learn what you like to watch, when it comes on, where you go to watch it, and you start to develop this set of metaphorical blinders, and you lose the forest for the trees, as it were. Luckily for us here on the show, we have ourselves a bona fide young person who gets out there and ever so vigilantly just fingers the pulse of the MMA world to help keep us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they actually are names, in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So, I mean, just throw this whole card in the can. That's the easy way to go about it this week. But to start out with the cans, Austin Hubbard, obviously, in my opinion, you could throw the fight in there, but Michael Figlich is fucking young, and his only loss came to his debut in the UFC, so we'll still give him a second chance, see what he can do. Hubbard already had a fucking chance, went 3-5 in the UFC, was trash, and then lost his second chance on the Ultimate Fighter last year. So what in the fuck are we doing here, giving the motherfucker a second chance in the UFC still? It's horrible. Clearly think he's going to lose the fight. He's going to look like shit. And it's one of those really big groaners of a fight that you got to slog through at the beginning. And I also got fucking could throw the ladies fight on there in general, the flyweight bout between Ivana Petrovic and Na Liang. But I threw Na Liang in the can. 0-3 in the UFC to start her career. Even though you got 17 finishes and 19 wins, you look like absolute shit once you get to the higher level of competition. You got Austin Lane, obvious fucking can. Poke fucking Justin Toff in the eye. He gets the second fight, get knocked the fuck out. He's fighting a kid that's actually got some serious knockout power. So I expect him to get laid out again this weekend. The Gabriel Benitez Masha Hate fight, you can throw the fight in the can in general. Don't think it's going to be very good, but Gabriel Benitez is more of the overall can. Marnik Mann, she's in my can for this week. Ketlin Souza, I feel like she's got some potential still, even though she lost her debut. Don Tolly Mays, finish that shit up. That motherfucker is an obvious can. One of the worst grapplers in the heavyweight division, and that's all the dude really tries to do. He doesn't actually go out there and fight. And to have no Schrodinger's contenders, nobody's really on the fence. It's just you have a pile of dog shit, then you have a few kind of contenders on this card. Karine Silva, she's the one clear, obvious contender in my eyes. The fight itself, not too excited for because Ariane Lipski isn't worth much of a damn. but it's going to help Silva continue to climb up. And I expect her to fucking look pretty goddamn good in that fight. So continue to keep an eye out for her. She's going to climb her way up the rankings. We need a lot more of her, some young ladies that have some knockout power and are fun and exciting to fucking watch start climbing up this shit and give us a little refreshing taste in the women's side of things. It's pretty stagnant with all those old bitches that don't have too much place being in there anymore. I got Mateus Nicolau. It's just obvious. Dude looked pretty damn good since he got in the UFC, aside from being knocked out last April here in Kansas City by Brandon Royval. I expect him to look pretty goddamn good this weekend against Alex Perez as well. So throw him. Yeah, throw him in the contender spot. I got the Uzbekistani Anthony Smith, Bogdan Guskov. I definitely think he's going to get the win over Ryan Spann. And the UFC definitely hates Ryan Spann. They give him Anthony Smith for a third time. It's like, here, we'll just give you Anthony Smith's younger brother or Uzbekistani clone. You get your ass beat by him a third time. So Ryan Spann's going to take another loss, and he'll constantly have Anthony Smith haunting him in his dreams. We fucking got a couple of fights that I'm throwing in the contender spot. Not necessarily contenders, other than a couple of guys could come out of this looking like decent contenders. The Uros Medic versus Tim Means fight. Now, if Medic goes out there and gets this win, it could help push him towards contendership. The guy has looked good since he got to the UFC, a little bit back and forth, but he's still got some serious potential. Dirty Bird, doesn't matter if he's 40 years old, one of the greatest fucking veterans the UFC still has. The dude still fucking goes out there and throws the fuck down every fucking time he gets in that octagon. I'm excited as fuck to see that fight. So I'm throwing that, like, out of this shit pile of a card. Couple of good fights here. That's why we're throwing these on there. Uros Medic, Tim Means, one of the good fights, and then you also got Jonathan Pierce versus David Onama. Now I'm going to root for Onama because he's a fucking local boy, but he also, again, actual potential to be a banger of a fight. Jonathan Pierce went on a fucking 5-fight winning streak before losing to Joe Anderson Brito in his last fight. David Onama's been pretty damn good since he got to the UFC, losing to the likes of Nate the Train. We ain't gonna fault him for that one. That was a fun ass fucking fight too. So he really went out there, threw down with Nate. He just kind of gassed himself out. If he continues to work on shit, Onama's got some serious potential to be a contender as well. So that's kind of where I see that. Onama could come out of this as a contender, Medic as well, but the fights are the best fights on the fucking card. Obviously, no TJ to bitch and complain and say, oh, fuck you, there's nothing good off of this at all. It's all bullshit. I know exactly how he feels about it, but that's why. Yeah, some decent fights. That's all we get. A couple of those. I'm going to watch BKFC. Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm sure that's how tomorrow will go. Like, I don't know if they're going on at the same time, but if they were, I'm sure both of us would have one stream here at home pulled up with UFC just to keep an eye on it. And then we'd be chilling here in Zoom, fucking watching BKFC. That's going to be a main focus tomorrow. I know. I'd love to hear what you got for cans and contenders from this fucking shitty ass card.
Yeah, the UFC card really is rough. I will give credit where credit is due. Like I said, I try and make a point of doing that. The boys over at MMAfighting.com made a very good point earlier in saying that this weekend is essentially the UFC competing against Mike Perry, because Mike Perry and Knucklemania 4, and Mike Perry is the face of Knucklemania 4 in Las Vegas, or excuse me, in Los Angeles. They're going all fucking out. They always go extra for these Knucklemania cards. This is their biggest one yet. It's the first one in the state of California. They've got a recognizable name from even most casuals in almost every fight on the damn card. This is probably, in my opinion, genuinely the best card BKFC has put on in their whole fucking existence so far. We'll talk more about that in a little bit when I break down the combat sports menu for the weekend. But yeah, there's despite it being the hangover card of all hangover cards, because the last fight card we had was UFC 300. The next fight card we have next week is UFC 301. And this poor fucking UFC Vegas 91 card is just smashed in the middle with a whole bunch of bullshit that they've got to get out, contractual obligations and whatnot. But like Chris said here, there is absolutely some gems hidden in the pile of dog shit here. I know TJ would hate absolutely almost every fight on this damn card, but there are a couple of shining spotlights left to be seen here. I do have an absolute fucking can, and that is Ariane Lipsky. I'm just done. I waved that fucking flag so goddamn hard when the Queen of Violence made her fucking debut in the UFC and looked like she had every fucking bit of potential to just take over and become the fucking woman at 125, and she has just fizzled out, for lack of a better term. Like, she seemed like she had a bright potential and she bottle rocket, man. She made a lot of noise, but she didn't really go far, and it wasn't really that bright when it popped. I think Karine Silva is going to beat her fucking ass. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park, but I think Karine Silva is going to beat her fucking ass. That's definitely a fight I'm interested, because I'm curious how one-sided it turns out. I think Karina is going to kind of have her way with her after a little bit of early difficulty, but it's going to be a fun one. I kind of agree with you, but I think the Dirty Bird versus the Doctor, Euros Medic versus Tim Means, is kind of my Schrodinger's contender of a fight. Because I love me some fucking Dirty Bird, and I will never root against the Dirty Bird, but he also has a history of being hot and cold. And that's kind of the problem with Euros Medic as well, is he came in real fucking hot and then kind of got cold feet a little bit and then bounced back a little bit, and he's had a rough time here and there. Both of them have the potential to come out and put on a fucking amazing fight, but they also both have that very distinct potential to come out and just be cold fucking fish and make it a boring 15. So that fight could be fight of the goddamn night. Hang your fucking hat up, give your fucking wallets to Dana, give them all the money. Or it could be 15 minutes of, God damn it, are we still watching this fucking fight? It very well could go either way. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a fucking banger, but I'm also kind of a realist and I love both those guys, but they can both shit the bed sometimes. So we'll see. The one that I'm not willing to call the whole fight my contender, more so of how this one plays out. Victor Henry versus Ronnie Yaya. I don't understand how Victor Henry is not the hero of every fucking fighter on the UFC roster. He literally got kicked in the dick in HD, slow motion, real time, live camera with multiple HD replays, and a doctor told him, "You didn't get kicked in the nuts, keep fighting." Are you fucking with me? Like, how is this dude getting back into the cage after that happening not the hero of every goddamn fighter on earth? We all saw what happened to fucking Matt Mitrione, or yeah, when he took that fucking kaya from the fucking big angry Russian, it busted his balls through the fucking cup. Victor Henry looked like he was about to have that fucking shit replayed in the little dude department, man. That was not fucking cool. And he has turned it back around and not only come back from that, but now he's going to take on a fucking crazy wrestle fucker like Ronnie Yaya. I tip my fucking cat to that gentleman for that shit, man. I'm very curious to see how that fight plays out. I definitely lean towards Victor Henry more, but Ronnie Yaya is he's kind of like a little Brazilian Marab, for lack of a better comparison. He might not get the first takedown, he might not get the fifth takedown, but he's going to get the 17th. And if he doesn't, he'll get you on the 18th or the 25th, because he's just going to keep fucking trying until he gets you to the ground and smothers you there. Victor Henry's pretty fucking crafty though, man. We've seen some glimmers there that could be real fucking interesting, and I think this would be a great comeback fight for him to just look spectacular. And Ronnie puts that style up there that poses that challenge. There's a potential highlight there waiting for Victor Henry, I think.
Fuck yeah, I like that one. No, I think we're all rooting for Victor Henry after that shit. You'd love to see that guy bounce back and fucking get a
Right?
nice win. He just deserves a win because that, like you said, the
Something.
fucking doctor literally looking at it. We all saw it. You see how much pain the dude's in. His fucking coach had to carry him out of the
Right?
motherfucking octagon, and they rushed the guy to the hospital because they were that worried because he was vomiting in the fucking locker room and could not stop writhing in pain. Like it was serious, but a doctor had told the kid, "Oh no, you're fine. You didn't get kicked in the dick."
Did
Hope
he
Victor
though?
Henry fucking does well. And in all honesty, these kind of fights too, like you throwing that out there, can wind up being really fun. When you get two guys that are really good at grappling, sometimes we get the fun, weird ass striking battles.
Crazy shit. Yeah.
Yep, crazy shit happens sometimes with a couple wrestle fuckers. So yeah, that's one of the fights I'm interested in as well. It's definitely good shit. We found some little bright sides out of the shit pile.
Damn right. Damn right. That's what I've got though. Good deal. Well, normally this would be a different segment, but this is the part, regardless, that does require its own individual disclaimer. So, Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast yet. That being said, Tapology.com does offer you the option to go onto their site, create a free account, and make fantasy style MMA picks like we do here. They even let you make groups. So we made one. It's called I'm No Bookie, all one word, or group 965, however you need to find it. It is open to the public. You are encouraged and welcome to make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who you are. Because if you are listening to this live, tonight is the last chance for you to get in on the summer Grand Prix for I'm No Joe over on Tapology. We kick off tomorrow with this UFC card. So you have until the card starts tomorrow, essentially. When the timer ticks and the UFC card kicks off, it closes all the picks on Tapology. And if you are not in the Grand Prix by then, you are not in the summer Grand Prix, and you will have to wait until the fall Grand Prix to hope to get in. But that being said, this is normally a segment we call Tapology with TJ, but he's not here, so it's Tapology with Meter. Goddamn. That being said, first things first. I cannot start Tapology this week without going back and covering UFC, finishing up the I'm No Joe Spring Grand Prix. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. It was literally down to this card. It was potentially anyone's game. We all could have tripped over our dicks and Vinny could have aced it and swiped the whole fucking thing out from underneath of us. Essentially, anything could have fucking happened. And goddamn, if it was not a battle to the literal fucking end. We were watching that shit and fingernails were fucking chewed. It was fingers crossed, breath held close down to the fucking wire, folks. In the very end, in sixth place, Vindog the Booty Hog was official, the first dick trip of the Grand Prix. It is official. He gave it a valiant effort. I will say, in Vinny's defense, the difference between first place and sixth place was 10 correct picks. Vinny got 69, dude, out of 127 picks correct. The number one player got 79 of 127 picks correct. So it was literally less than a dozen choices that made the entirety of the field difference here. So right above Vindog the Booty Hog came Don, even 4,400. Above Don with 47.75, very respectable, 75 out of 127. Golf T himself. Ironically enough, we talk about this quite a bit. With the same number correct, 75 out of 127 as well, but 47.90 in terms of points, coming in third place That fella right there, Slow Bake himself. Coming in second place, 77 of 127 correct. 49.95. Yours truly. And that means we forgot to call the Maytag repairman, because winning with just a score of 5,050 points, winning by a matter of 55 points, was Donna. So hat tip to you, ma'am. Well done. She took it overall. I was fighting and fucking clawing my way back up. Christian was right fucking behind me, clawing his way. We were trying to take that fucking top spot all the way to the last little fucking bit. Uh, it got crazy. It got pretty fucking tight down to the very last, and it literally, the last fight was what ended up deciding who placed where. So congrats to everybody that was in there. It was a great fucking Grand Prix. The Summer Grand Prix will kick off this coming weekend with the UFC card. So that being said, we do have some odds to go over here in TJ's honor. I'm going to go over the wider odds on the card here, because as you would expect with a card that's not that great, there are a lot of coin flips, but there are actually some interesting odds here. I'm using DraftKings. Fuck MGM. They don't like my computer. I don't like them either. DraftKings is what we've got here. It's not a fight that we're very interested in per se. Christian talked about it earlier, but Ivana Petrovic versus Na Liang. Na Liang is the plus 380 underdog to Petrovic's minus 500 favorite. I don't know if those odds are good, but they're wide enough that it's worth throwing into a parlay if you're looking for a couple to round up. I'll tell you that much. Another one here, and I can't fucking believe this myself, because there were two people out of the whole fucking card that missed weight for tomorrow's UFC fight. One of them was James Lontop. He only missed by a half a pound, to his credit, but he missed by a half a pound, had time to go cut that half a pound, and didn't. Took the 20% purse forfeit, and the fight proceeds as a catchweight now. You missed weight by that little and had the time to go cut that little bit and then didn't. But Vegas, for some reason, sees his opponent, Chris Padilla, as the plus 340 underdog. And even with the weight miss, Lantop is a minus 440 favorite. Either Vegas knows something that we don't, even despite that weight miss, or Lantop is just supposed to come in here and clean fucking house. So definitely another one. Keep in mind for a potential parlay roundup here. Not necessarily the greatest to throw your money on individually, but this is one of those cards you can stack a couple to make a couple, if you know what I'm talking about. Where was the other one? Where'd the other one go? Here it is. I don't know that this one. I don't know about this one. Marnik Man versus Ketlin Souza. Marnik Man is a plus 285 underdog versus Souza's minus 360 favorite. Like, again, I don't know if that's Vegas knowing more than we do, or they're just wanting to get some action on some of these crazier fights, but that's definitely another one you could throw in a parlay to potentially make yourself some money. The last one here, one I was proud that I talked about earlier, Ronnie Yaya versus Victor Henry. Yaya is the plus 310 underdog. Henry is the minus 395 favorite. It's not a coincidence that Vegas has him as a fucking minus 400 favorite. And I told you that this man is coming back on a fucking mission out here to do something and prove something. If you ain't going to put money on fucking Victor by himself, then at least put that motherfucker in your parlay. I'm telling you right now, don't take your eye off fucking Victor Henry this weekend. But That being said, those are the odds. And I do want to give you guys the other one here. Lantop missed by the half a fucking pound. The other one that missed weight, the bigger one of the two, our fucking local boy, David Onama, missed by 3.5 pounds and did not try to cut it. At 3.5 pounds, clearly something went wrong in camp somewhere, whether it was a diet, whether he got sick, something went wrong in camp, and he wasn't going to be able to cut that extra fucking 3.5 pounds in the allotted hour, most likely. But still, what the fuck is going on there? Because if you follow his social, he's been out and about lately. He's been training. We've seen him working. Something has me a little concerned about that. I still think he has the potential to win that fight, but missing weight like that is not a good fucking sign. That being said, combat sports menu for this weekend is really just for tomorrow. LFA will actually be kicking off in about 20 minutes. So right about the time we're getting out of here, you'll be able to click over from us right over and watch LFA kick off this evening if you're into that. Otherwise, kicking off tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, UFC Vegas 91, Nicolau versus Perez. Like we mentioned, not the greatest card in the world, but there are some diamonds in the rough there if you're looking for it. But luckily, coming on after the UFC, or at least towards the tail end to kind of parade from one into the other, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, BKFC Knucklemania 4, Mike Perry versus Thiago Alves as the main event. This card is, like I mentioned earlier, one of the best things that BKFC has put together in their run as an organization, in my opinion. There are great fights on both cards to be had. Neither one of them are, stunners unto themselves, top to bottom, but both of them do have bona fide gems for you to go out and find for sure. So if you're looking for punchy kickies this weekend, there is plenty of it to be had. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode here. But when we wrap things up around here, that is not the end of the fun. This morning, if you didn't notice, that gentleman there and his other half kicked off new episode of their podcast, the Slow Bacon Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker.com. Link to that as well as their socials and their channel on the I'm No Joe Discord server down in the description as well. Go check that shit out and tell those boys how awesome they are.
Yeah, it was a fun one. Had fun talking about the fucking draft and shit that happened last night. Threw some of that shit in there. Tried our best to talk about the fights in a good sense. Fun don't fucking stop though. It was fun. You get to do a Friday show here, but once you swing back around next week, even if he wasn't here with us, you gotta show TJ some love. You gotta hop over to the Foggy Fairway. Comes on about the same time, about 9:30 every fucking Wednesday night. Just look up Foggy Fairway on YouTube or look down in the description below. You get everything down there for the brother TJ. Follow everything for him. Show the brother some love.
Hell yeah. And then, of course, I do many things. That's why my name is The Meter Does Many Things. I do much more than just I'm No Joe. I actually did a bunch of video gaming in the time that we have up. Those streams are here on the channel as well. I tell you before I start the streams, I'm not good, but I'm entertaining. I yell a lot. I curse a lot. I have fun whether I'm doing good or not. So those are always entertaining. They'll be popping up randomly, no set schedule. I'm not trying to be no fucking Twitch or video game streamer or nothing, but it's fun to do. Usually just an hour or so, just fucking around. So that's fun, something to look back on. Other stuff back on the channel as well. But everything I do can be found by the two links down in the bottom, Linktree/The Meter Does Many Things and Linktree/ I'm No Joe. Obviously, one is for everything here, the other is for everything everywhere else. But you can check out what all of us get up to by all of our links down in the description. Either way, if you're here live catching this, we do it pretty much every Thursday, usually before a big fight weekend over on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@I'mNoJoe. I hate that they fucking put the ad in there. Pretty much 9:30 Central Standard Time-ish. Every Thursday we do that live. If you don't or can't catch it live, the videos do stay up there for you to catch, or the week after we go live, they go up in the all audio format on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe for your podcast consumption platform of choice. You can catch us pretty much everywhere. Unfortunately, video is only on YouTube. And if you are listening to this in the all audio format, unfortunately, you have already missed your window to get into the I'm No Joe Summer Grand Prix. If you're catching this Saturday early before the fights, you still got a chance. If you catch it Friday night on a replay, still got a chance. Let us know who the fuck you are. There are still, I believe, 6 spots open for other people to get into. So if you want it, I believe the direct link is tapology.com/group/965. We're on group 965 or I'm No Bookie. However you need to find us, get your ass on there. Let us know who the hell you are. We'll get you in. It's a good time and it's free. Otherwise, if you like what we get up to around here, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed and notifications are turned on. Maybe share an episode with a friend. We appreciate you just the same. Otherwise, if you don't like what we get up to, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give us a thumbs down and go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless it's the Chiefs not getting a good draft. We done got him, bitches.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made